Hi everyone, this is the video explaining your outline assignment. So um, after you looked at the major project number one, done your brainstorming for major project number one, after you've done that, then you can begin working on an outline. And again, what we're doing here with working on major project number one is that I want to slowly build you up to writing this essay instead of just saying, hey, go write an essay. And you're like, well, how do I do that? I'm like, well, let's go through this step by step. And so that's why I have a brainstorming session, why I have you posting things onto Blackboard where you guys are going to be talking to each other. And so I'm kind of setting that up so you can kind of think about what's going on with the poems. You can run some ideas over in your head, talk about them with other people in the class. And then once you've done that, then you can write an outline. And so the outline, again, this document is here in Blackboard in the outline in the folder. And an outline, as I say here, is like a sketch of your essay that shows where you have put or plan to put various elements in your essay, right? For this case, we're planning to put. Sometimes you write an outline afterwards, but this is a planning outline, so it's where you're going to put things in your essay. It allows you and me to see what your thesis is and how your body paragraphs relate to that thesis. For this assignment, follow the format below. You do not need a topic sentence for your conclusion. You can simply write conclusion at the end of your outline. So what you're going to do here is you're going to show me what your introductory paragraph is and what your thesis is, and then you're going to show me what you're going to be doing in each body paragraph. So let's talk about introductory paragraph. The introductory paragraph is just your first paragraph. And it does, just like its name suggests, introduces us to what we're going to be talking about. So your introductory paragraph usually has things like the title of the poem that you're going to be discussing, the author of the poem that you're going to be discussing, right? So it gives us some kind of background information like that. It also is going to contain your thesis. And a thesis is simply the big idea that you want to get across. So for in one of your previous assignments, we had talked about topic sentences, right? We talked about what a topic sentence is for a paragraph, that there's one idea that's holding that entire paragraph together. A thesis is going to be one idea that's holding the entire essay together, right? So a thesis is going to take into account all of the different topic sentences that you're going to have have in your essay. You've got to have a thesis here. You've got to have a big idea that you want to get across. So you're going to have your introductory paragraph at the top of it. I want you to underline, highlight, bold, or in some way let me know exactly what your thesis is. And your thesis should only be one or two sentences. And so, again, I want you to know what is the big idea that you have that's going to hold all this together. You're supposed to be talking about metaphorical language in the poem, whichever poem you're going to choose, and think about how that metaphorical language fits into the big idea. So your thesis should say something about what that is. So let me give you an example of a thesis. I've got also in the folder here is a sample outline, right? This sample outline is on the Latin Deli. And as I say here, you cannot write about the Latin Deli, right? You can only write about what it's like to be a black girl, dot head, or of the threads that connect the stars. But as I often do, I'm saying you cannot write about the Latin Deli. I'm using this as an example so that you don't use my ideas. I don't want to give you my ideas, not because I'm selfish about my ideas, but because I don't want to say something about, oh, this is what I think that of the threads that connect the stars is about, and then all the essays that I get just say that back to me. It's not very interesting to me, and it means that you're not thinking about your own sense about what the poem means. So let's look at this introductory paragraph in this thesis here. So it says, immigrants come to the United States for a variety of reasons, but no matter why they may come, they can feel torn between their home country and the new country where they have chosen to live. In the Latin Deli, Judith Ortiz Cofer uses metaphorical language to show us how even though immigrants willingly come to the United States, they can still feel a deep longing for the places they have left. So notice that I am talking specifically about metaphorical language. That's important. My thesis specifically mentions metaphorical language. The topic that I gave you for this major project says you've got to talk about metaphorical language. So your thesis should say that somewhere. Somewhere you're talking about metaphorical language, and metaphorical language will include similes as well as metaphors. And then I say specifically what is going on in the poem. It says that Cofer wants to talk about how even though immigrants willingly come to the United States, they can still feel a deep longing for the places they have left. So that's a very specific thing that I'm saying that the Latin Deli is about, right? People come here, they're happy to come here, they make sacrifices to come to the United States, but still they might miss where they came from, right? And that's something that Cofer wants to talk about through the Latin Deli. So I'm giving you this thesis has a very specific sense about what we're going to be talking about for the rest of the essay. And that's the kind of thesis you want to have. So you want to make sure that when you are writing a thesis for project number 1, again, you're not going to be writing about the Latin Deli. You're going to be writing about Other Threads That Connect the Stars, Dodhead, or What It's Like to Be a Black Girl. You're going to say the metaphorical language in that poem helps us understand this very specific idea, and you have to tell us what that specific idea is, and then you are going to highlight or underline or somehow tell me that that is what you think your thesis is, right? The rest of the introductory paragraph is just kind of background that's leading up to that, right? Immigrants come to the United States for a variety of reasons. How they come, they feel torn between their home country. That is kind of just leading up to the thesis, right? It's helping to put the thesis in some kind of context. And so it's relatively straightforward in terms of what you can be doing for your introductory paragraph. Then going back to the assignment here, after you do the introductory paragraph, you're going to have to show me what you plan to do in each of your body paragraphs. So you see that we've got these Roman numerals, right? We use a capital I for a 1, 2 capital I's for a 2, right? Those are Roman numerals. And what we say here, write a topic sentence here. We talked about what a topic sentence is, right? That is a complete sentence that expresses the main idea of the paragraph. And each paragraph has to specifically support the thesis, right? That is, you've said what the thesis is, and the thesis holds together the entire essay, and each topic sentence has to relate back to that, okay? So you're going to have, in each of these Roman numerals, you're going to have a topic sentence, right? I say write another topic sentence here. Number 3, write a third topic sentence. Students think you can only have 3 body paragraphs, but I tell you down here, there can be more than 3, or there could be less than 3. There's no rule about how many that you have to have there. And then in this under here, using capital letters A, B, and C, I say, for all the capital letters, either list a specific quote from the text that you will offer as proof to support your main idea, or just describe the quote if you can't find it easily, right? They're easily to find because these are short. Later on, when you're doing plays and fiction, they're going to be longer, so it might be hard to find them. So for this, you can simply tell me, look, here are what the quotes are, and you'll put them after capitals A, B, and C. So what I'm going to be looking at when I'm looking at your outlines, I'm going to see, again, do you have a clear thesis, right? Does it mention metaphorical language? Does it give us a specific sense of what the poem is about? For topic sentences that relate back to that thesis, every topic sentence should relate back to the thesis. And then I'm going to see if these quotes that you have here specifically relate back to that topic sentence. When you're done with these quotes that relate to the first topic sentence, you come up with another topic sentence, and you have a quote which backs that up. However many quotes you have. You can have 1 quote per paragraph if you wish, or you could have 3, or down here I have 2, right? There's no rule about that. So I'm just looking to see the organization about where everything is going to go. So that's in general what the outline looks like. going back to the sample outline that I have here on the Latin deli, so I said Cofer uses metaphorical language to show us how even though immigrants willingly come to the United States, they can still feel a deep longing for the place they have left. So let's look at my first topic sentence. Cofer uses a number of metaphors and similes to show how strongly food connects immigrants to their home countries. So I've talked about the idea that they feel a longing for the place that they have left. Well, how is food used as a metaphor to help us understand the how much they long for the place that they have left? So we have green plantains hanging in stalks like votive offerings. That's a simile. We talked about that in the previous video, in the video about the Latin deli. She talks about canned memories, right? We talked about that as being a metaphor. It relates back to food. And reading the labels of packages aloud as if they were the names of lost lovers, the labels of packages of food. And again, so that one relates back to food. So all three of these quotes all connect back to food, right? And food is just one way in which she shows the longing for the place that they have left. So our first topic sentence relates back to the thesis, and I've got these examples that all relate back to that topic sentence. When I'm done talking about food, I can move to something else. So I say, in number 2, Cofer uses figurative language to tell us that the woman who works at the store reminds the immigrants of home. Okay? That woman, she's not about food, right? So she gets her own paragraph. So let's talk about she is the patroness of exiles. We talked about that is going to be a metaphor, right? We talk about the family portrait of her plain wide face. Again, we talked about that as a metaphor. So we talk about the woman is going to remind them of home. Figurative language is really just another way of saying metaphors and similes. We could use those interchangeably. And so the woman reminds them of the longing for the place that they have left. And so I have the metaphors that talk about the woman. When I'm done talking about her, I can move on to the next thing. Near the end of the poem, she describes an old man, and she uses similes and metaphors to show us how he misses his home. So now we've got something else. We talked about food, we talked about the woman who runs the store, now let's talk about the old man in the store. And let's look at the metaphors that we have here. It wouldn't satisfy the hunger of the fragile old man. Realize that hunger is a metaphorical hunger, right? It's not a literal hunger, because he can't, no matter how much ham and cheese he eats from the A&P, he's not going to satisfy that hunger, right? So that's going to be a metaphor. Lost in the folds of his winter coat. He's not really lost in there. You can find him. So that's metaphorical. The items that he reads to her like poetry. That's a simile, as we talked about, right? And again, they all relate back to this old man. Okay, and so see how what I've done, and I'll let you look at the other one. I'm going to run out of time. I can only have 15 minutes on these videos. But I'll let you look at number 4 on your own. But you can see how with each one of these, all three of the items here, 1, 2, and 3, all relate back to the thesis, the deep longing for the places they have left. But each one talks about that in a very specific way, either the food, the woman who runs the store, or the old man. And they all have examples that relate back to that. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be looking for your outlines for major project number 1. Again, you're going to be talking about the other 3 poems, Dot Head, Of the Threads That Connect the Stars, and What It's Like to Be a Black Coral. But you're going to do the same thing. You can have categories of kinds of metaphors, right, for each paragraph. List what those are. When you're done with that category, you move on to a new category and explain that. So that's in general what an outline is supposed to look like. As always, if you have any specific questions, make sure to ask me. But look carefully at these documents. You want to go along with this format, this general format that I have here, because it helps me and you see how this is going to be structured.